351 1133. Come, visit, and relax at the Villaggio Inn and Spa and the Vintage Inn in Yachtville, California. Call 800 351 1133.
Mike Horn.
And
Yay.
welcome back with more Slow Living. Does that sound like we're slowing down, not missing a beat? Absolutely not.
Stephen, you've missed the plot of what slow living is all about.
It's appreciation,
not about
isn't it?
moving slow. It's just being more mindful of what's around us, and we're being mindful of Michael Horn tonight.
We are indeed.
So that was a perfect intro.
You're in trouble.
Yeah,
You're in trouble.
for our listeners, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Slow Living Radio right here on CRN Digital Talk, coast to coast. And our guest tonight is the inimitable, the famous, the wonderful Michael J. Horn, president, founder of CRN Digital Talk Radio. Michael, welcome back.
Thanks. And the guy who was smart enough to put your guy's show on, I'll tell you that.
I was about to say,
Yeah, that's
and now, of course, this is our first-year anniversary.
1 year anniversary.
1 year anniversary, so we cannot lose sight of the fact that there was a visionary out there, and this guy was visionary. We told him about a concept, and he said, this just has to go on the air.
It does have to go
Yeah,
on
I
there.
think
Your
it-
concept, but people don't know about you that you guys had been doing TV and had put together a whole concept for a TV show, which is still there and available. And
Whoa.
you
No,
told me-
stop, Michael. This
Yes.
show is not about us.
Well, it is a little bit.
You're slipping into the interviewer role, and
just think
you're
that
the
that's-
interviewee tonight.
I love the fact that you guys did the thing on radio. It's good.
Yeah, well, I think that's
I love
great.
the
but
fact that you have a radio station, and that's what we're here to find out.
I think that's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. So let's start with some of the humble beginnings. Now, I got to tell you, I was reading a recent article here in LA Radio, and it was a 3-part series. It was-
It's required reading throughout the entire network.
It was, and it should be required reading throughout the entire network. But the reality is this: is that kids when they're little come up with an idea. It's I want to be a fireman, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a short order cook. That wasn't you, was it, Michael? No, that was somebody else.
That was me.
But Michael Horn decided that he wanted to be on radio.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or a baseball player.
Or a baseball player. Yeah, and see
If you ever
whichever came up first.
Watched how I play baseball, you realize why I went into radio.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
right.
Good. Well, tell us a little bit about that, because I remember going back, let's talk about the humble beginnings here. And the humble beginnings were when you first started out, your first radio show was, wasn't it called like the Mrs. X radio show?
Well, it was called the Mike Horn Show.
The Mike Horn show, but there was a special feature on that.
Well, to get people to listen to it.
Okay.
No one's going to just listen to a kid broadcasting unless there's a reason to listen. So I got my next door neighbor to record secrets about my friends. And they would, this was during high school, they would drive their cars down, park them in front of the house. And I built this transmitter that's supposed to have a 10-foot antenna, but I put a 100-foot antenna on it so they could hear it.
So didn't the
all the way up and down
FCC
the
come
block.
back after you then?
Thank goodness, no.
No, yeah. So-
Much I was always worried about that because I'd heard that they, take people away. And so I was broadcasting at 900 on the dial on the AM, and it was MBC for the Mike Broadcasting Corporation. And we broadcast the Mike Horn Show, and I'd play music and make everybody sit outside for about an hour, and then I'd roll this tape deck and play the Mrs. X report, and she would have secrets about everyone.
No,
Oh,
no,
that's
the
lovely.
question was where she got those secrets, Mr. Horn.
Well, I don't want to say anything about my friends, but I don't think they were too bright because obviously I gave her all the secrets.
So you
But
fed
they
all of
didn't know
this. So
that.
you were basically not only a radio host, but you were also the program director at that point, writing the scripts for the show.
And the showrunner. I was
And the
actually
showrunner.
the showrunner,
The
yeah.
Now,
showrunner.
did you ever get, really killed for breaking someone's secret to the
No, I
to the
never.
outside world?
Just the stories would go around high school. I'd get them and I'd feed them to Mrs. X, she was much younger and she was enamored with some of my high school chums. And so she went along with it. And we used to they didn't know who Mrs. X was and they didn't know how she got the information. They
Wow.
thought it was somebody maybe in high school where they didn't know. And it was
Very
the
clever.
Mrs. X show.
Oh, you were a clever young
yeah,
fella.
the Mrs. X show.
You
Very
might want to
nice.
start that feature here on Slow Living
I like
Radio.
that. I think that could work. I've just got to get that antenna, that 15-foot antenna, and run it out of the garage, and I think we're in good shape.
And we'll call it Mr. Y.
Yeah, I like running out of CRN
that.
a little better. Yeah, I think we could do something with
That's
that.
good.
Yeah. So what was your next step? Where do you go from the garage?
Well, I always wanted to be in radio. I tried to get a radio station put into the high school that I went to, and I just couldn't convince them because I was graduating, and so I decided that was it. But I went then to college and started working on the college radio station, which had, I think, about a 300-watt radio station on the FM dial that people could hear all over the San Fernando Valley in Southern California. And so I was able to push my way in to get a radio shift on the air, and I was in this huge, big room with state-of-the-art equipment, much like we still have here at CRN. And it was a studio with the control room way up in the top of the ceiling with glass, and they looked down, and I was in this big cold room at about 35, 50 degrees, something like that. And my very first shift, I went in, the mic opened up, and you could hear this. And then I talked. And when I got home, my brother said, "I heard you swallow." That was a little intense. I was a little nervous the first time. I was big, dry. And then I talked.
So that was your that was your debut.
Guy stood up there and pointed down at me and said to go. And what did I know? It's this big cold room, and I'm sitting at this little desk, and the guy's looking down at me. It was quite intimidating.
He's figuring, say something, and so you did.
So I swallow, yes, before every broadcast that I do to this day.
Do you day?
Started a tradition.
Very good. Now that was back at Cal State Northridge, wasn't it?
Yes, it was KE. Well, the station was KEDC at the time, and then switched to KCSN for Cal State Northridge.
I remember KCSN. I was I'm an alma mater of that.
Exactly. Did you ever work at that station?
No, I never did. I would have loved to have worked that station, but we could have probably crossed paths there, Michael, at that time, in that big cold room.
In that big cold room.
That's right. Yeah. So where were you after that? I mean, we've got some legendary stories about you that we're gonna leak as well. Oh yeah, I mean, you worked.
Mrs. X is coming on the show.
Mrs. X is coming on the show.
That
She's coming back.
If you knew who she was, that would be a real showstopper.
Well,
she actually lives in Las Vegas now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is she a showgirl?
No. She's actually Mormon and stores food in a big cellar and then does all that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. She's waiting for the second coming or something.
Yeah, well, I think she's prepared because she told all those secrets.
Well, you probably made her a little paranoid, I would say.
I think so,
No
yes.
doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I had the career going there at the college station, and we started the very first country music radio show at that time. And I decided I had to have the best music because, I'd walk down and I'd walk the Sunset Boulevard to get music, and they'd be giving me Captain Beefheart and Frank Zappa music, and I was doing a country
stuff.
show. Yeah. But they'd be laying the stuff on me because they knew I was at the college station. They wanted it to be played, and so I'd pick up country stuff, and I got like Johnny Cash and all this stuff, and I kind of liked country music, so I did this show that the guy programmed, and then he had a job at a hamburger shop or something on the weekend, so he couldn't do the show. So I got to do the country show, and so I started playing music, and I'd hang out at the world famous Palomino Club in the back room and
really at the Palomino
interviews with all the guys that come off the stage on Saturday night, and I'd have my cassette recorded, and I'd record. I was on Ernest Tubbs' bus, and I talked to Bobby Bear and Jerry Lee Lewis, and the weirdest guy of all was Doug Kershaw, the Ragin' Cajun, because he actually shared a secret with me when I interviewed him. He said, "I'm wearing pantyhose underneath my pants." And I thought, well, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing. But because he would play his fiddle in so many places, he didn't want his pants to cling. And so I think he shared that. I hope that's why he shared that with me. I didn't stand too close to him for the rest of the night.
And you cut that interview short and got the heck out of there. Is that right?
The Doug Kershaw was a quick interview.
It was a very quick interview.
Yeah, and I wasn't on his bus, I can guarantee you there.
No,
well,
I
that's
like
something
that.
for Mrs. X.
It would be, yes.
Yeah, indeed. Well, as long now, Michael, you're not wearing anything I should know about, right?
To
on
this
the
day
show,
have worn pantyhose underneath my pants every single day.
Is that why they glide so smoothly?
Yes, have you noticed that? Non-cling.
Yeah, well, that's all in life appreciation. That's what slow living's all about, Mr. Horn.
I find it's very comfortable that way. Yes, thank you.
Very relaxing. Yeah, indeed. Well, I must tell you, I want to hear about these guests that you interviewed as well back in the country days, and we will learn more about that with a few of these little secrets that we're going to throw in there, and then we're going to talk a little bit about wine too, of all things.
Of all
wine.
things, that's good.
Where does that come into the picture, huh? Well, we're going to find out when we come back with more Slow Living Radio right here on CRN Digital Talk Coast to Coast. We're visiting with Michael Horn. We'll be back in just a minute.